Captain Riley Kane stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, her eyes fixed on the dark swirl of space ahead. The crew had spent weeks mapping this remote sector, and every sensor now pointed to a single drifting object. It was a ship unlike any they had seen before, smooth, organic curves, and a faint shimmer that spoke of alien technology. Whispers among the engineers call it the Shapekeeper's craft, and stories said its touch could end any life. As the Intrepid drew near, Riley felt a knot of unease in her stomach. The vessel floated lifelessly, its hatch wide open as if inviting them inside. Behind her, Lieutenant Chen checked the energy readings. "Captain, there's no sign of power." "It looks abandoned," Riley nodded, but she could not shake the feeling that something watched them. She gave the order to board. Inside, corridors glowed with bioluminescent panels that pulsed gently under their feet. The air smelled faintly sweet, like alien flowers in bloom. Riley's boots echoed as she led her team forward, scanners humming. They found a central chamber where a single figure lay on a raised dais. The alien was tall and slender, with skin that shifted between deep violet and silver. Its eyes were closed, and its long fingers rested across its chest. "This must be the Shapekeeper," Chen whispered, "the one they say can kill with a touch." Round them, the chamber's walls displayed strange patterns, almost living. Riley approached the dais slowly, her heart pounding. Every story she had heard spoke of death and fear, but the alien stirred, its eyes fluttering open. The Shapekeeper rose with grace that seemed both human and not. When it spoke, its voice was soft and musical. "I am Arasa," it said. "Why have you come?" Riley kept her tone calm. She introduced herself and explained their mission of peace and exploration. Arasa tilted her head, curious. She reached out a hand toward Riley. For a moment, time froze. Riley knew the legends. Any being who felt the Shapekeeper's touch would die. She braced herself as Arasa's slender fingers met her arm. But no pain came. Her skin tingled. But she remained safe. Beside her, Marine Corporal Davis gasped. Chen stared at his readouts. "Her touch, he's alive." Davis breathed. Arasa frowned, confusion darkening her eyes. "I have never met someone who could survive me." She looked closely at Riley's arm, as if searching for a clue. Riley flexed her fingers, relief flooding her. She steadied herself and smiled gently. The bridge lights flickered as communications crackled. Lieutenant Varez called in. "Captain, the Alliance fleet has detected your boarding. They demand an immediate report." Riley drew a deep breath. She did not want to alarm the fleet with untested rumors of deadly hands. She tapped her wrist console. "We have contact with the Shapekeeper. She means no harm, and her power did not affect me." Within seconds, static gave way to Admiral Juno's voice. "I hope you understand the gravity of this situation. Captain, if she proves dangerous, we will neutralize the threat." Riley's jaw tightened. "Yes, Admiral. I will keep you informed." She cut the connection and turned back to Arasa. "Arasa," she said, choosing her words carefully, "I survived your touch." Arasa's violet eyes widened with wonder and something like hope. She lowered her hand slowly. "You carry no death in you," she murmured. "What makes you different?" Riley studied the alien's face and felt a surge of determination. She might not know the answer, but she would learn it. "We will find out together," she promised. Beside them, Chen opened a small medical kit. He tested samples of Riley's blood and Arasa's skin secretions, looking for clues and sensors, and data streams. As they worked, the chamber's living walls pulsed gently, almost in time with Riley's heartbeat. The rest of the boarding party watched in silence, curiosity and awe mixing in their minds. No one moved to attack. Arasa and Riley faced each other, to beings from different worlds, united by a touch that did not kill. Outside, the Intrepid's crew prepared for whatever might come next. Riley knew that alarms could sound at any moment, that the Alliance fleet might see Arasa as a weapon to destroy. But in this soft-lit chamber, she saw not a monster, but someone frightened by her own gift. When the last sensor beep confirmed Riley's safety, Arasa's slim lips curved into a gentle smile. "You are the first," she said softly, "first to live." Riley nodded, her voice steady. "And I will be the first to help you." As they stood together, the drifting ship no longer felt like a tomb. It felt like the start of a new journey, one that could change the fate of two species, and perhaps the whole galaxy. The Intrepid's repair bay hummed with activity, as Captain Riley Kane and Arasa worked side by side beneath stripped panels and glowing conduits. The bay was spacious, with scaffolding reaching up to the hull ceiling. Technicians in blue jumpsuits darted around, checking circuits and calibrating tools. Arasa watched with keen interest, her violet eyes reflecting the dim lights overhead. She touched the damaged plasma conduit gently, and it glowed faintly as Riley guided her fingers away. Riley studied the alien's movements. Arasa had never handled human technology before, yet she showed a natural curiosity and care. As Riley tightened a bolt on a support bracket, Arasa reached out and placed a hand on Riley's shoulder. The human captain paused, sensing no threat. Arasa spoke softly in her melodic tongue, but Riley nodded and replied in common. Chen translated. She asked if she can learn more about our machines. Riley smiled. "Of course, we can teach you." Over the next hours, Riley led Arasa through the bay. She explained the Intrepid's power core, its gravity systems, and the ship's navigation controls. Arasa listened intently, absorbing every detail. When Riley showed her the engine's coolant loops, Arasa's slender fingers traced the pipes as if reading a map. Riley realized that Arasa's senses went beyond sight and sound. She might feel energy flows in ways humans could not dot as they worked. Arasa asked questions about human emotions. Her voice was quiet. "Why do you not fear me?" Riley paused, removing a panel from a sensor array. "Because I believe power alone does not make someone a threat," she answered. "Fear comes from misunderstanding. We survived your touch, and now we want to know you." Arasa's lip curved into a curious smile. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen recorded data on Arasa's physiology. He had kits that sampled skin secretions, measured heartbeats, and monitored neural signals. Arasa sat patiently as Chen's medical drones hovered around her. She seemed both fascinated and uneasy. When Chen's scanner beeped, Riley looked over him. "Any findings?" she asked. Chen frowned. "Her biology is unlike anything on record. There's a biofield surrounding her cells that changes under stress. I think her power is linked to her emotions." Riley nodded. "So when she felt calm around me, her deadly trait paused." Chen tapped his console. "Exactly. But we need more data to be sure." Later, Arasa and Riley took a break in a small lounge area. The room was quiet, with soft lighting and cushioned benches. Technicians had set up refreshments, a tray of fruit slices and nutrient gels. Arasa sampled a fruit that tasted like a blend of peach and grape. She closed her eyes. Savoring the flavor, Riley sat beside her. "Hunger is a human need," she explained. Arasa nodded, then surprised Riley by gently touching her hand. The contact brought a subtle warmth, and Riley felt a bond strengthen between them. She smiled. "Thank you." Outside the bay, the rest of the crew watched with mixed feelings. Some officers whispered that Arasa was a danger. Others, like Marine Corporal Davis, felt hope. Davis approached Engineer Vasquez, who was tightening a strut. "Do you trust her?" Davis asked quietly. Vasquez shrugged. "I trust Riley's judgment. If she trusted Arasa enough to survive her touch, I'm willing to give her a chance." Davis nodded, relief easing his tension. As afternoon passed, Riley and Arasa moved to the ship's science lab. Riley introduced Arasa to the research tools, microscopes, holoscreens, and sample chambers. They placed a tiny shard of Arasa's skin in a chamber and watched as the holoscreen displayed cellular patterns. The cells shimmered and rearranged themselves, forming fractal shapes. Arasa leaned in, fascinated. "My body heals too fast," she said softly. "I cannot stop it." Riley considered this. "Your gift is also a burden," she replied. "We can help you control it, if you wish." Arasa's gaze met Riley's. "Will you help me?" Riley answered without hesitation. "We survive by working together. Let us find balance." Arasa nodded, a solemn promise in her eyes. As night fell, the Intrepid orbited a nearby planet. through the lab's windows. Riley and Arasa watched the planet's blue-green curves. Riley placed a hand on Arasa's arm. "Soon, we will leave this bay and face the galaxy out there," she said. Arasa's expression darkened with uncertainty. "They will fear me," she whispered. Riley shook her head. "They fear the unknown. We will show them you can be an ally." Arasa looked at Riley with gratitude. "Because of you, I can hope." Back in the command center, Admiral Juno's message flickered on the main holo. Riley tapped her console and accepted the call. Juno's stern face filled the screen. "Captain, we have reports of pirate raids in this system. I need the Intrepid back in action." Riley straightened. "Understood, Admiral. We are nearly ready." She ended the call and turned to Arasa. "We must prepare for real missions soon." Arasa nodded, determination replacing her fear. Riley arranged for Arasa to train with the Marines in the zero-gravity chain. They would test her controlled touch in combat simulations. Arasa agreed, showing no hesitation now. As they walked down the corridor, Arasa placed her hand in Riley's. The touch was gentle, a silent vow that neither would face the challenges. Ahead a lone dot, and so, under the humming lights of the Intrepid, a bond formed between human and Shapekeeper, one built on trust, curiosity, and the promise of a future neither species could have imagined before. Together, they would learn to turn a weapon of death into a force for life. The Intrepid slipped through the asteroid field at dawn's pale light, its hull scarred from close calls with spinning rocks. Captain Riley Kane stood at the helm, eyes narrowed as sensor pings traced the slimy trails of Alliance patrol ships closing in. Behind her, Arasa watched the holo map, her violet eyes reflecting the flickering lights. "They set a blockade," Arasa said in a low voice. "They think I am a weapon." Riley's jaw tightened. She touched Arasa's hand gently. "We will show them you are more than that," she replied. But first they had to escape the trap. The Alliance fleet had deployed 3 frigates at the system's jump point. Any ship leaving would face inspection or destruction. Riley plotted a course through the nearby comet cluster instead. It was dangerous, but the Alliance scanners struggled to track vessels among the icy nuclei. As the Intrepid adjusted course, Lieutenant Chen worked at the navigation console. His fingers flew over the controls. "We'll pass behind Comet Delta 3. Its tail will mask our missions for 30 seconds. That is all the time we get." Riley nodded and gave the order. The engines hummed, and the ship drifted toward the comet's glowing ice stream outside the viewport. Chunks of ice and dust streamed past. Turbulence shook the decks. Marine Corporal Davis gripped a rail. Arasa stood beside him, her presence calm. Davis glanced at her. "You ready?" he asked. Arasa gave a tiny nod. She reached out and touched the railing, her skin pulsing with energy. The rail glowed faintly, then snapped back to its normal metal. Davis frowned, but the contact held firm. He realized her gift could reinforce structures, not just end life. Riley watched the readings. 5 seconds to tail entry. She tightened her grip on the console. The Intrepid dove into the comet's tail, and sensors flickered as particles hit the shields. The detectors painted streaks of white across the holo map. Outside, Alliance scanners lost the Intrepid's trail. "We're in the blind spot," Chen announced. "But we have only 20 seconds before they relock." Riley exhaled and pushed the throttles. The ship shot free of the tail, engines flaring within a heartbeat. They cleared the cluster and slipped onto a hidden course toward the neutral zone. Alarms blared on the comm. "This is Frigate Corvina." The Alliance voice crackled. "Identify yourself or prepare to be boarded." Riley tapped her comm. "This is Captain Riley Kane of the survey ship Intrepid. We request safe passage. We carry no weapons aside from standard defense. Our passenger is an alien diplomat under my protection." She hoped her tone sounded firm yet polite. A pause. Then the reply, "You are ordered to hold position for boarding. Compliance is mandatory." Riley stifled a sigh. She turned to Arasa. "We cannot let them take you." Arasa's lips pressed together. "Then we must hide me," Riley considered. They were close to a small moon whose atmosphere was dense with acid rain. Alliance ships avoided close approach for fear of corrosion. It was risky, but better than capture. Riley set a new course. Pilots leaned into their stations as the Intrepid dove toward the moon. Engines flared and shields sizzled under acid drops. Inside the ship, alarms signaled shield damage. Engineer Vasquez shouted, "We're losing hull integrity." Arasa stepped forward. She laid her hand on the bulkhead. A soft glow pulsed, and the metal beneath her palm mended, smoothing over fractures. Technicians watched in awe as the hull healed itself. Under her touch, Riley whispered, "Thank you." Arasa nodded, but did not smile. She knew the risk of revealing her healing gift too soon. Yet in that moment, her power kept them alive. The Intrepid skidded into a hidden cave beneath the moon's surface. Acidic rain pounded the roof. Overhead, echoing like drums, Riley cut engines. Silence fell. On the holomap, the Alliance frigates hovered above, scanning the moon's rugged terrain. None detected the Intrepid's stealth field. Riley exhaled, her shoulders releasing tension. "We bought time," she said. Arasa surveyed the cave. Stalactites dripped glowing acid. The air tasted sour. "We cannot remain long," she said. "They will search deeper." Riley tapped her wrist console. "We need proof of your peaceful intent and your control gift. We will send a message to Admiral Juno with evidence of your healing work." Chen spoke up. "We have recording of your healing on the conduit, plus the data from my med scans. It can prove your power is not a weapon." "Then do it now," Riley answered. Chen uploaded logs to the Alliance net via a secure relay. The tiny uplink drone zipped out of the cave entrance into the acid rain. Seconds later it vanished. Chen watched the confirmation. "Message sent," Riley swore softly. "We must hope the Admiral sees reason." Arasa placed a hand on Chen's shoulder. Her voice was gentle. "Thank you for your trust." Chen nodded, a new respect in his eyes. Davis joined them. "We stand with you," he said quietly. Arasa's eyes flicked to him, surprise softening. Her fear died as they waited. Riley reviewed the plan. They would stay hidden until the Admiral responded. If Juno approved, Alliance ships would stand down. If not, they would have to flee deeper into space. Either way, they would face the galaxy together. In the dim cave, human and alien stood side by side, bound by trust forged in danger. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, hope pulsed like a heartbeat to guide them through the darkness ahead. Riley Kane led Arasa through the hatch of the orbital training facility, her boots clicking on the grated floor. The room beyond was wide and empty, lined with holoscreens and marked by a central platform. Technicians hovered at consoles, ready to run simulations. Riley glanced at Arasa. "We start simple," she said. Arasa nodded, her violet eyes bright, with both hope and fear. The first exercise was basic. Navigate the platform while avoiding virtual obstacles. Riley activated the holoscreens, and the room filled with shifting walls and beams of light. Arasa hesitated, then moved forward. With each step, the walls shifted, testing her reflexes. Sweat beaded on Riley's brow as she watched. Arasa stumbled, but caught herself. She smiled, and the simulation paused. "Good," Riley said. "You learn fast." Next came the zero-gravity chamber. The platform lifted, and the floor fell away. Arasa floated beside Riley. Blinking as she adjusted to weightlessness, Riley floated nearer. "Touch me," she said. Softly, Arasa's slender hand reached out and brushed Riley's arm. The captain felt a warm pulse, but no shock. Riley gripped a rail. "Steady," she coached. Technicians recorded data as Arasa practiced gentle contact in 3-second intervals. With each touch, the holoscreen showed a calm green glow, proof of Arasa's control. After the simple drills, Riley introduced emotional focus. "Your power is tied to your mind," she explained. Arasa closed her eyes. Riley described a memory, a childhood moment of laughter under twin suns. Arasa pictured it, breath slowing. Riley asked her to reach out again. This time, the glow on the screens was steady and strong. Arasa's chest rose and fell with confidence. She opened her eyes. "I felt peace," she said. But the next exercise brought new doubt. The simulation switched to a wounded Marine lying on broken metal. The holoscreens painted red warnings around him. Arasa hesitated, recalling stories of her past failures. She saw faces of victims she could not save before. Tears shone in her eyes. Riley called out, "You can do this." Technicians fell silent. Arasa steeled herself, took a breath, and placed her hand on the virtual wound. For a moment, nothing happened. The red warnings flickered. Riley held her breath. Then the red faded to green. The Marine's holomodel rose, stabilized by Arasa's healing. Cheers broke out among the crew. Riley smiled broadly and gave her hand a gentle shake. Arasa's lips curved, but her eyes glistened with tears of relief. She had faced her guilt and found strength after the test. Riley guided Arasa to a quiet chamber with a single bench and a window looking out at the planet below. Swirling clouds of blue and white drifted past. Riley sat beside Arasa. "You did well," she said. Arasa touched Riley's arm. "I was afraid," she admitted. "I thought my gift would hurt everyone." Riley shook her head. "Your gift heals, and it can protect us all. Trust yourself as I trust you." The afternoon drills focused on endurance. Arasa repeated the basic touch exercises, each time under stress alarm sound effects. Flashing lights, technicians raised the difficulty, until Arasa's brow was damp with effort. Still, her control never broke each time she paused. Remember Riley's calm voice and regained focus. By the end, the holoscreens glowed a steady green even under the fiercest alarms. As daylight faded on the planet below, Riley called the session over. Technicians secured their gear. Arasa flexed her fingers, marveling at how she could direct her power. Riley placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are ready for more," she said. Arasa nodded, a new resolve settling in her heart. Before they left, Arasa asked Riley about her own fears. Riley looked at the vast field below. "I fear losing what we build," she said. "But with you, I have hope." Arasa's eyes shone. "Then we protect each other," she whispered. Riley squeezed her hand. Always, as they walked back to the Intrepid, the stars above the facility shone bright. The bond between human and Shapekeeper had deepened through trust and training. Both knew that trials still lay ahead, political storms, enemy threats, and the unknown dangers of space. But in that moment, Arasa had proven she could master her gift, and Riley had shown that friendship could bridge any divide. Together, they were stronger than fear and ready to face whatever the galaxy could bring. The Alliance Senate chamber filled with voices as representatives from dozens of worlds argued over the Shapekeeper's fate. Tall pillars circled the hall, and holo panels displayed Arasa's image. Captain Riley Kane stood at the front, flanked by two Alliance envoys. Arasa sat quietly to one side, her violet eyes wary beneath the soft glow of the chamber lights. Senator Vallis rose first, his voice firm. "This creature wields a power that can kill with a touch, even now. We have no guarantee it will not turn on us. We must detain her until we understand her full threat." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Arasa's hand trembled, but Riley placed a steadying hand on her arm. Arasa inhaled slowly and met Vallis's gaze. Next, Senator Marek spoke. "We witnessed her heal our ship's hull and save our crew. She is proof that her gift can be guided for good. We risk alliances by treating her as an enemy." Behind Marek, some representatives nodded, but others shook their heads. Riley raised her hand. The chamber fell silent. She spoke clearly, in measured tones. "Members of the Senate, we stand at a crossroads. Arasa is not an unknown weapon. She is a sentient being, capable of choice. She faced her own fear and learned control. Her power healed our ship's hull and saved lives. If we embrace her as an ally, we can unite the species and strengthen our defenses." Her words echoed through the hall. Senator Vallis frowned. "Strengthen defenses?" Arasa's power is tied to her emotions. What if she loses control? What if she is forced into anger or fear? Riley nodded. "We have measures in place. Arasa trained with our Marines. She learned to center her mind under stress. Her biofield responds to calm focus. If she faces danger, she steps back or uses non-harmful techniques. We would not send her into conflict without safeguards. A senator from the mining world of Corn spoke up. My planet lost 50 miners when the Shapekeeper's people launched an attack centuries ago. Can we ever trust one of them? Arasa's body stiffened. Riley stepped forward. Arasa is not responsible for past wars. She carries no guilt. For history, she carries the chance for peace. She looked at Arasa. You may speak. Arasa rose and walked to the center floor. Every eye watched her. Her voice was soft but clear. I know fear and guilt. My people did harm. But I chose a different path. When I touched Captain Kane, I felt no hate, only understanding. I ask you to see me as I am, not as my ancestors were. Silence followed. Her words hung in the air like a fragile promise. Senator Vallis's expression softened. But he still stood his ground. Even if we accept you, what of others who share your gift? Do we invite more Shapekeepers into our worlds? Riley answered. We create a new model ambassadors trained in peace and healing. Arasa will lead the first mission. Together, we set a precedent, power guided by compassion. The chamber's holo panels shifted to show a projection of Arasa, and Riley shaking hands before Alliance ships. The image drew gasps. Arasa breathed deeply and returned to her seat. Riley faced the senators. Our galaxy faces threats from beyond the Alliance. If we cling to old fears, we leave ourselves vulnerable. If we embrace this chance, we stand stronger, united. As Riley spoke, Alliance security officers stood along the walls. Some held weapons, tense in case of danger. Arasa met their gazes without fear. She thought of the Intrepid's crew, of the Acid Moon, of their escape through comets. She thought of Riley's trust. Her heart steadied. A long silence followed. Then the chief senator, Valera, tapped her gavel. We will vote on conditional alliance with the Shapekeeper ambassador. Conditions include supervised missions, regular psychological assessments, and restrictions on weapons use. Valles glared but did not object. Valera continued, all in favor. Hundreds of hands rose. Opposed, only a few remained. Abstain, a handful. Valera's gavel struck again. Motion passes. The Shapekeeper is granted provisional. Ambassador status, cheers, and applause broke out among many representatives. Arasa stood, tears shining in her eyes. Riley moved to embrace her. They clasped hands, their bond visible to all. Valles lowered his head, accepting the outcome. While Marek offered a respectful nod. After the vote, Riley and Arasa left the chamber. In the corridor, reporters and aides surrounded them. Holocameras flashed. Riley smiled and spoke softly to Arasa. You changed minds today. Arasa glanced at the senator's doors disappearing behind them. Because of you, I could speak my truth. Because of us, the future changed. Outside the Senate, peaceful crowds gathered on the plaza. Some waved Alliance flags, others held signs reading, Welcome Ambassador in multiple languages, Riley. And Arasa stepped onto the raised platform. Riley raised her voice so the crowds could hear. Today, we made history. We chose trust over fear, unity over division. Let this be the first step in our shared journey. She turned to Arasa. Ready? Arasa nodded. The crowd cheered as she raised her hand in greeting. Later, in the quiet of the Intrepid's lounge, Arasa and Riley reflected on the day. The chamber's echoes still lingered in Arasa's mind. I never thought I could speak before so many, she said. Riley handed her a cup of warm tea. You spoke for every future Shapekeeper who seeks peace. Arasa smiled, gratitude shining in her eyes. And you showed the galaxy what trust can build. Riley watched the stars glide by the port window. We have many missions ahead. We will face challenges, doubt, and danger. But today proved we are stronger together. Arasa placed her hand on the window, feeling the hum of the ship. With you, I have hope. Riley squeezed her shoulder. And I have you. Together, they looked out into the vast galaxy, ready. For the next chapter, the Intrepid led a convoy of supply transports through the outer rim corridor. The transports glowed with cargo yields, and small escort fighters flitted around them like guardian swarms. Captain Riley Kane watched the holo map as they cleared a dense asteroid cluster. Convoy operations usually passed without trouble, but today felt different. Arasa stood beside Riley on the bridge, her eyes trained on the screens. Without warning, alarms shrieked, red warning lights bathed the bridge. Lieutenant Chen shouted, "Pirate Armada bearing 310. They are closing fast." The holomap filled with hostile ship icons converging on the convoy's path. Riley's heart thumped. She gripped the rail. "Prepare for battle," she ordered. Technicians sprang into action. Engines powered up, shields hummed to life, and Marine teams ready weapons outside the viewport. Sleek black pirate ships emerged from behind a broken moon. Their hulls bore jagged spikes and stolen alliance markings. They fired warning shots. Plasma bolts arcing toward the transports. One bolt struck a freighter's shield, flaring bright before fading. Riley raced through her options. "We can't let them destroy the convoy. Arasa, we need your help." Arasa nodded and closed her eyes. Riley tapped the comm. "All fighters, hold position and protect the transports. Intrepid will engage the lead pirate vessel." The escort fighters veered off, weaving through asteroid debris to intercept. The Intrepid charged forward. On the bridge, Arasa's breathing slowed as she focused. She raised a hand and placed it on the console. A faint glow pulsed beneath her palm. In the engine room, Engineer Vasquez felt a ripple in the power core. Shields glimmered as Arasa's energy field spread through the Intrepid's systems. The glow strengthened, and sensors confirmed the shift. The ship's deflector nodes reconfigured, not only to block attacks, but to project focused pulses. Vasquez grinned and relayed, "Captain, shields are echoing your commands. They could redirect energy outward." Riley caught the moment. "Chen, target the lead pirate frigate. Channel the shield feedback into its shields." Chen's fingers danced across the controls. He locked onto the pirate ship's coordinates. Energy vector locked. Riley pressed her palm to the console. Now, the Intrepid's shields flared white. A wave of energy shot out in a concentric pulse and slammed into the pirate frigate's hull. Sparks danced along its shields, then cracks formed. The pirate crew panicked as their shields collapsed. Under the controlled strike, the frigate spun, disabled but still afloat. Its engines coughed out fire. Escorts cheer. As they pressed the attack on the remaining pirate vessels, the plasma fighters flanked the smaller raiders, blasting their drives apart. The transports veered to safer lanes. Still, two larger pirate cruisers charged the Intrepid. Riley kept her voice calm. "Arasa, hold focus. Repeat the pulse on Cruiser Alpha." Arasa breathed deeply. Images of her training flashed in her mind. Calm focus, controlled touch, steady heart. She placed both hands on the central console. The glow intensified. On the holomap, new pulses targeted Cruiser Alpha's weapon arrays. Its gun turrets froze, then retracted. The cruiser lost offensive power without hull damage. On deck, Marine Corporal Davis watched pirate fighters screaming past. He lowered his rifle as the enemy weapons fell silent. Nearby engineers marked the controls and noted how the enemy systems shorted out. "They can't fire," Davis said in wonder. "We did it without a single life lost." Riley smiled at Davis's words. The final pirate cruiser, seeing its allies crippled, tried to flee. But Arasa and the Intrepid had mastered the speed vectors. Another pulse struck its engines, slowing its escape. The cruiser drifted helplessly through space. Riley tapped the comm. "Pirate ships, this is Captain Riley Kane of the Alliance. Intrepid, you are ordered to surrender. Any attempt to resist will result in further non-lethal disablement." Silence followed, then static, and a pirate voice rasped, "We yield." Hatch doors opened on the disabled ships. Marines boarded and took the pirates into custody. The convoy regrouped under Riley's command. Transports resumed course, shields repaired. The pilots saluted the Intrepid as they passed. Riley turned to Arasa. Tears shone in Arasa's eyes. "You did it," Riley said softly. Arasa nodded, voice tremulous. "I controlled fear and used my gift for life." She placed her hand on Riley's arm. The glow pulsed gently. Below deck, Lieutenant Chen reviewed the battle logs. He downloaded data on energy signatures, shield pulses, and Arasa's biofield readings. Within minutes, He prepared a report for Admiral Juno. The data showed no casualties among prisoners, minimal hull stress, and effective disablement. The Alliance fleet would see Arasa's power as a true asset. In the convoy's command ship, Admiral Juno watched the holo feed. She frowned in thought, then pressed a button. Notify Captain Kane. Impressive work. Continue escort until docking. Back on the Intrepid, Riley acknowledged. She looked at Arasa. The Admiral sees your value? Arasa smiled, relief flooding her. That evening, the convoy reached the Alliance station. Cheering crowds lined the docking bays. Banners read Heroes of the Rim. Riley and Arasa stood on the bridge, watching the celebration. Today, we prove you are more than a weapon, Riley said. Arasa's gaze swept the station lights. We prove we can stand together. Riley placed her arm around Arasa's shoulders. And tomorrow, we face new challenges united. As they disembarked onto the station, the crew gathered to honor them. Transports unloaded, pirates escorted to detention, and engineers began repairs. The Alliance journalists awaited interviews. Riley and Arasa moved forward side by side, ready to share their story of trust, control, and the power of a peaceful touch. The ceremony hall buzzed with excitement as humans and shapekeepers gathered. Side by side, banners of both species hung from the high arches, and streams of colored light danced across the polished floor. Captain Riley Kane stood at the center stage, Arasa by her side, both dressed in formal Alliance uniforms. Arasa's violet eyes shone with pride and a new sense of belonging. Shapekeeper delegates approached Arasa, offering respectful bows and soft words in their melodic tongue. Human officers greeted Riley with firm handshakes and nods of approval. The crowd represented worlds from across the galaxy, each having watched the Intrepid's missions with growing hope. Many had once doubted Arasa's motives, but now they came forward to congratulate her. Riley stepped to the microphone. Her voice echoed clearly through the hall. She spoke of trust, of the power that lay in understanding rather than fear. She told how the very different beings had learned from each other and how their bonds saved lives and reshaped diplomatic ties. The audience listened in respectful silence, and when she finished, applause filled the room. Or as a single quotes S turn came. She approached the mic with a gentle grace that spoke of her alien heritage. In simple common, she described her fear when first meeting humans, the guilt she had carried for her people's past, and the relief she felt when Riley reached out without judgment. She spoke of hope and responsibility, of using her gift to heal and protect rather than destroy. Tears glistened on many faces as she spoke after the speeches. Riley and Arasa signed the Treaty of Shared Touch, an agreement to establish a joint scientific council and training academy where shapekeepers and humans could teach each other about their unique abilities. The council would research ways to adapt Arasa's healing power into medical technology and develop protocols for peaceful missions. The academy would train new ambassadors like Arasa, preparing them for diplomatic and humanitarian work. As the crowd cheered, Riley and Arasa clasped hands. Their partnership had transformed legend into reality. A gift once feared as a weapon now stood as a symbol of unity. Photographers captured the moment, holo images beaming across news networks and social feeds. Children in the audience waved small flags, one half human star and one half shifting violet, a new symbol of cooperation. Later, beneath a vast skylight showing the galaxy's stars, Riley and Arasa walked through the hall. They passed groups, deep in conversation, engineers and biologists comparing notes, Marines and shapekeeper guardians exchanging training tips. Arasa touched a human's injured arm gently, demonstrating her healing touch in a small, controlled spark of light that soothed the wound. The human smiled and bowed gratefully. Riley watched this with quiet pride. She remembered how terrified she had once been of Arasa's power. Now she saw that power in service of life. She squeezed Arasa's hand. Arasa looked back and nodded, understanding without words. Round them, tensions that had once threatened war had given way to cooperation. In the distance, Admiral Juno joined them, flanked by Alliance ambassadors. She offered Arasa a ceremonial badge of honor, Arasa accepted it with humility, placing it over her heart. The badge glowed faintly, as if resonating with Arasa's biofield. A hush fell over the crowd as Juno spoke of bravery, of the courage to face fear and choose peace. Arasa's soft smile thanked her as the ceremony ended. Guests filed into adjoining chambers for a gala dinner. Tables grown under dishes from human and shapekeeper cuisine, spiced stews, glowing fruit salads, and pastries infused with alien herbs. Riley and Arasa sat at the head table. Arasa sampled a pastry and raised an eyebrow at the sweet, peppery taste. Riley laughed and offered her a cup of herbal tea. They toasted to new beginnings. Late into the evening, children raced through the halls, playing with small hover drones shaped like ships, pretending to pilot them through asteroid fields. A young shapekeeper girl reached out to Arasa, her hands trembling with excitement. Arasa knelt and let the girl touch her hand. The girl giggled as a tiny pulse of warmth echoed under her palm. Others watched in delight, no fear in their eyes. When the gala wound down, Riley and Arasa returned to the Intrepid. The ship felt quiet now. Its lights dimmed for rest. They stood on the bridge, looking out at the twinkling city lights of the Alliance station. Arasa gently placed her hand on a console, and it glowed softly. She sent a small healing pulse to calibrate the system. After the day's energy surges, Riley smiled. "We did it," Arasa said. Her voice carried a gentle relief. Riley nodded. "We did it together." Arasa turned to look at the stars stretching before them. "What next?" she asked. Riley rested a hand on her shoulder. "We explore new worlds, right old conflicts, and help those in need. Our journey is just beginning." Arasa's eyes shone with excitement. Above them, the stars beckoned. Between them, a bond of trust burned brighter than any supernova. The galaxy awaited their next move, confident that where fear once ruled, hope and understanding would now lead the way.